Burning Sins. Prologue. Friendship is the true immortal piece of magic that binds us as one. The friendships you forge in life will include your most lowest point in life and your highest. The ups and downs your friendships encompass will build up your true character and lead you to your destiny and calling in life. No doubt the journeys of friendships are bumpy, but in the end, it'll make up for who you are in the future and define your personality. Manchester, England, 2007. Silence. Among the brisk spring night in Manchester, England, a dull silence accompanied the occasional nocturnal cooing of an owl or the chirping of crickets. Such peace lulled the notion of sleep to all of the suburban inhabitants of the neighborhood citizens. Rows upon rows of buildings were blacked out. Lights flicked off as late-night workers turned in after a hard day at their jobs. To them, it was just another night. Another day, coming and going. Further along the trail of houses lies a path leading into the forest. A single driveway that stretched a quarter of a mile inward until it landed upon a house, lonely and old, atop a low hill. A family of one mother and two children, a boy and a girl, lived within this house. The boy, Nathan Schmidt, had just breached the peak of his teenage years and the sweet 16 mark of age. The girl, Maya Schmidt, was only an adolescent, a child of 9 years. As with every house on the block, it too was blackened and without light. But unlike the other homes within the suburbs, this one was not quiet or peaceful.
Oh, little Nathan, where are you? Where are you?
A loud crash came from the first story as the teenage boy jerked up from his seated position on the floor. Both he and his sister were in his room, the elder sibling watching Maya doodle and color on the notepads she had splayed out in front of her. Hearing the obvious sound of something being kicked over, the fear of a wrathful parent made him clench up. Looking back at Maya as the footsteps drew near the staircase leading up to the second-story hallway, Nathan scooped her up and covered her mouth as she began to protest. Opening his closet, he knelt down beside the dresser inside and gently stuffed his sister behind it. Before Maya made a noise, her brother put a finger to his lips. "Shh, Mom's angry, Maya. Count to 100 quietly, and don't come out of this closet no matter what you hear."
But...
Both children turned to the door as it rattled on its hinges. Something was thrown towards it from outside the room. Turning back to his sister, Nathan placed one of the caps hanging on the dresser on her head. "You know how Mom is when she's like this. You know what to do, sis. Close your eyes and cover your ears. I'll deal with her and come get you, okay?" The soft voice of his little sister came out in a slight whimper as another bang shook the door, this time coming from the rasping knocks of the bulldozing mother looking for them.
Open this door! Open this door right now, Nathan!
Nathan turned back to Maya, tucking her into the corner and leaning back out of the closet. Grabbing the doors, he gave her a small smile as he gently closed them. "Trust me." Maya sniffled as the closet was left in the pitch blackness. The doors only opened by a crack when they were drawn closed. Nathan, turning away from it, noticed his door was about to come down. One of the hinges was giving away, and it won't be long before his mother broke the door down. Taking a breath, he reached under his bed and grabbed a wiffle ball bat. He didn't want to hurt his mother, deranged as she may be, but at the same time, he had to defend himself. The only thing this cushioned bat was capable of was knocking out the older woman, if he got a good swing in. But that was difficult, when she was always right on top of him. Rubbing his neck, his thumb passed over a few marks, making him cough and clear his throat when touched. Gripping the bat by its handle, he steeled himself as the door finally caved, and his mother, Elizabeth Schmidt, stormed in.
Come here, you little scum!
Elizabeth was on him immediately, grabbing at his shoulders as he fought against her, shoving her back as she hollered at him.
You think you can hide from me? Not only did you lock the door, but you try to hide from me? You're not allowed to do that to your mother! Where did you hide my pills?
Nathan swung for the fences as she dove for him again, cracking at her ribs and sidestepping her as she collapsed. Backing away from her, she hissed at him as she rose to her feet.
How dare you hurt your mother?
"I don't have your pills, Mom. You come here every time they go missing, and you end up finding them someplace else, usually where you left them."
Liar, I know you have my pills. Where are they? Where are they? I need my pills. Where are they?
Nathan cringed as his mother's shrill screech nearly burst his eardrums. Swinging once more, she raced towards him. She caught the bat as it neared her chest, striking her son across the cheek and drilling the handle of the bat into his stomach. Beating him down to the floor, Nathan covered up his vitals and his head as Elizabeth continued to pummel him for minutes on end. Soon, the elder woman tired out, so much so that she began to calm herself. Dropping the bat, she spat on her son's side as she stormed past him, leaving the room to search for her medication in the lower floors. Groaning, Nathan pushed himself up, bringing himself to a sit and rubbing his side. His mother really thrashed him hard this time. The bat was cracked to the side, and he was sure to get some bruising from those swings. Shaking off the pain, he kicked the bat back underneath his bed and walked towards the closet. Opening it up, he uncovered Maya from her hiding spot, her eyes opening when he did so. She took one look at him and dove for his abdomen, snuggling into his belly as she began to sob lightly. Nathan took a labored breath as he wrapped an arm around her, petting her head as he glanced out the window. Elizabeth was getting more aggressive. Ever since his father, Michael, walked out on them, she'd all but given up on life. Like any other broken woman, she resorted to medication and drugs to dull the ache of a shattered heart. But it only led her to change and morph into the violent and delusional woman she was tonight. As such, her drug-ridden state wasn't fit to keep the house in shape. She paid the bills, sure, but Nathan was doing most of the chores and housework while she wasted away. He was also the one to teach her sister about the many lessons he's learned, good and bad. She needed to be prepared for the road ahead in life. One day, they would leave this place behind, and Maya needed every lesson she could learn to be ready. Sighing, Nathan rested himself up against the wall, closing his eyes as he would feel some sleep come to him easy, considering some of those blows may have connected with his head. He hoped he didn't have a concussion. Right now, the last thing Maya needs is for him to be in a coma. She'd be all alone with her mother. That was something he'll never let happen. He'd sooner run Elizabeth through with something sharp than let her even graze Maya. With that thought lost in his mind, Nathan felt himself go limp, a hand still on his sister's head as they both fell into the warmth of slumber. Being loyal to your friends, your family, allows them to assure they will have someone to count on. Don't take that for granted, though. Never ask your friends to lend money or do favors, and start asking how they are, and how well they're coping with their lives. Get to know them. You'll never know when they will need a helpful listening friend or brother by their side in times of need. Sometimes, them knowing they have a loyal and faithful companion can avert emotional problems.
Who's crying? I can't get any fucking sleep here!
Nathan's eyes snapped open as he heard the crying himself, the wails of his little sister coming from a few feet away from him. Seeing the shadow of his mother in the doorway, he sprinted for Maya, covering her with his body and shielding her from the foot coming towards her. Grunting at the kick that dug into his bruised ribs, he grabbed Elizabeth's leg and threw it out from under her. Picking up Maya, the teenager rushed out of the room, narrowly avoiding his mother's deathly grip, and raced downstairs. Slamming the door shut to the stairwell, he placed Maya down and slipped a chair under the door handle, locking Elizabeth upstairs for the time being. So much for one day. Elizabeth's tantrums were more fierce than ever. Not even last night did she kick that hard. If she gets a hold of them, God knows what she'll do to Maya.
Hey, you fucking bats! You're locking the door again! Fuck you! Fuck you, you pieces of trash! I am your mother! I took care of you! I own you! I own you!
Nathan grabbed a bag off of the counter as Maya ran after him, afraid of what their mother will do when she gets through the door. Opening the cabinets by the fridge, Nathan began stuffing the sack he had with as much food and water as he could, as well as a knife. And the loaded handgun she had on the top shelf, which had a broken lock on it for months. Taking it, as well as the ammunition Elizabeth had stored inside, Nathan tied up the sack, hefted it over his shoulder, and ran for the door. Maya held his hand firmly as they made their escape out the front entrance, racing down the dirt driveway and away from the home. The horrific shrieks of a witch was but an echo now. A horrifying, haunting echo, but a fading noise nonetheless. Kindness is a language everyone understands. The deaf can see it. The blind can hear it. Those who don't speak your language can feel it. Doing things out of kindness means you do not expect anything in return. You just want to help somebody in need. Over a week has passed since the two siblings escaped the horror house they used to call home. Escaping the suburbs, they lived within the city, moving alley to alley and working odd jobs under the table to earn their income. It was small, but it was enough to keep them going for the time being. Nathan was doing any and everything in his power to ensure his sister's survival, and also her happiness. He didn't care who he aligned himself with, or what purpose he served. He had the means to do anything, even if it was illegal. They were homeless. The facts kept creeping into Nathan's mind as he sat up against the wall, eyeing each corner of the passageway between roads as Maya slept comfortably against him. Taking a breath, he was half tempted to fall asleep right there, but he knew he had to keep himself vigilant. An angry mother was the least of his worries out here. Resting the gun on his leg, he stared forward, trying to come up with the next move for tomorrow.
Stop right here.
Huh? Nathan looked to the left exit to the alley, seeing a car slow to a halt. Squeezing the hammer of his pistol, he trained the barrel towards the car, watching as the door opened and a girl stepped out. Nathan could make out in the dim light that she was of darker skin complexion, probably Hispanic, and her hair was a deep jet black that reached down to the middle of her back. Her attire sported a striped tank top with a style of sweatpants that appeared skin-tight. Seeing her entering the alley, he reinforced his hold onto Maya as he watched the girl approach them. She stopped a few feet away, turning on a flashlight and shining it at them. She yiped at the sight of a fully loaded handgun pointed at her forehead, but did only so much as to take a step back before regaining her composure.
Excuse me? I'm sorry to bother you, but are you two lost?
The girl shifted in place as Nathan didn't trust her, his frown deep and teetering onto a scowl. The girl gulped before ushering to the car.
If you need to rest your head, I'd be happy to bring you back to my place.
Nathan turned his eyes to the car, then back to the girl. At first, he was going to decline her, obviously not trusting any form of sincerity from her, but a short cough from Maya stopped him. Looking down at her, he could tell that she was shivering. The duo had been out in the cold for a long while now, and given a few more days, they probably weren't going to make it. Can you feed her?
Pardon?
My sister. She's starving. The girl turned her gaze to Maya, seeing her cough a few more times before smiling.
We have some leftovers you're welcome to. My name is Kiana Whitney, by the way.
Nate. My sister's name is Maya. Kiana kept her smile as Nathan stood up, carrying Maya in his arms with a pistol still firmly kept in hand. Eyeing Kiana warily, he walked after her as she turned and strode towards the car. Keeping Maya as far from Kiana as possible, he sat in the middle as he buckled the 9-year-old in, constantly looking over his shoulders at both her and the driver, who he knew for a fact wasn't her father. She must have been rich or something if she was pulling up in a Cadillac with a chaperone. Taking a seat next to Maya and Kiana, the door was pulled shut and the car was on its way.
So, why were you two out in the cold? It's supposed to be freezing tonight.
We ran away from home. It wasn't a good place. Our mother became disorderly after Dad left her. Not sure where he is exactly, but when Mom got too crazy, we had no choice but to leave. Kiana nodded, knowing the story.
I understand what you mean. You aren't the first person I've met who has run away from home. Far from it, in fact.
She held up a hand towards the driver.
In fact, my mother did the same for Peter up there. Took him in when she found him that very alley I found you in. Though he was less armed.
Nathan glanced down at the pistol holstered in his belt, shifting in his seat to keep Maya close. Sorry. We haven't run into good people these last couple weeks. A few thugs tried to rob us or take Maya. We managed to get away and scrape by on the scraps of money that they had on them.
Well, I can surely say that if things go well, you and your sister won't go hungry anytime soon.
She placed a hand on his shoulder as they began to pull into a driveway paved with brick instead of gravel.
I promise.
That start seemed very familiar. Still, it's got a very strong start to it. But no doubt those people they're going to are going to be insane. I freaking bet. Anywho, let's get on to our sane donators. Top donators, Jessie Smith, star 630, BadassWaffle, Only One Things, Orion, and IronSky. Matchback 109, JockeTF, Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel, Skies, Austin, Roland, Star Brother, Mortar, Don, Become, Larry, Roots, 952, Will, Kristen, Q, Rise, Shadow Moon, Luigi, 88, Chancellor Crust, Big Smoke, 369, Baka, JJF, Murder Princess, J1101, Calidus, Little Mighty, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.